Recently, I've been troubled by some issues. I'm a 40-year-old housewife living with my husband and son. Though I'm a housewife, I also actively work from home, utilizing my special skills. My husband and I married 10 years ago, and my son is his child from a previous marriage. He's now in the 6th grade, diligently preparing for his middle school entrance exams. My husband and I met when I was in my late 20s, still single, which worried my relatives. They introduced me to a man of my age who worked at the same company. That man was my future husband. He had lost his first wife in a traffic accident and became a single father, raising his newborn son alone. I was drawn to his dedication to parenting and work, so I decided to date him. As I helped with picking up our son from daycare, we thought it'd be better to live together. We married when our son turned 2. Since our son never knew his biological mother, he grew close to me, and we had a bond like a real mother and son. However, the harmonious life I thought we had was only in my mind. My husband and son's attitudes towards me were terrible. My husband usually helps with household chores and even buys my favorite cake, a genuinely kind person. But he has a flaw: he tends to yell when something displeases him, which I always found disagreeable. I try not to upset him, but he often gets terribly angry over small things, like the seasoning of a meal or if plans don't go as he wishes. In the past, he would calm down and apologize, reverting to his kind self. But in the last 2 or 3 years, it's been really bad. The root of the problem seems to be his company's recession, leading to a salary reduction and a significant cut in his bonus. Since then, his irritability has been unending. Initially, I thought he was just struggling and bore with it, but it's been increasingly hard. For instance, this happened recently. "Honey, your sister is getting married, congratulations. Your mom told me." "Yeah, I've sent her a congratulatory gift." "What? How much did you send?" "10K. She was delighted." "Why would you send such a large amount without consulting me? That's way too much for a gift, regardless." "Are you saying I don't earn enough? You're mocking me, aren't you?" "Not at all, it's just excessively generous. Remember, your sister didn't give us a gift when we got married." "Are you blaming my sister? What's wrong with celebrating my dear sister's wedding?" After that, my husband had a fit of rage. He even broke my favorite mug. It's not just this time, he's always been reckless with money. As a result, he hardly contributes his salary to our household expenses anymore. But it's not just my husband who's a problem. It's also our 6th grade son. Whether it's the stress of exams or just adolescence, he's incredibly defiant. "Hey, isn't it time for a break?" I say, bringing juice and snacks to his room. But his response is harsh: "Don't come in, old woman. I'm busy." "Speaking to your parent like that is not acceptable," I admonish. But he retorts, "Shut up. Don't talk to me." He rejects even my attempts at conversation. I'm deeply troubled by the harsh attitudes of both my husband and son towards me. On a certain holiday, as a deadline for my work-from-home job was approaching, I was working in the living room from morning. Seeing this, my husband became irate. "You're in the way. Are you trying to rub it in my face that I can't earn enough by working on your day off?" "No, it's not like that. I just have something that needs to be finished today. I'll be done soon." "Just because you're a housewife, you neglect your chores and pretend to work? Lucky you, having free time. Even a grade schooler is busier with studies and extracurricular activities." My son also began to scold me. "But you haven't been contributing to the household expenses for the past few months. See, you're blaming me again, playing the tragic heroine. Dad, it's hard to concentrate with someone like her around." "Fine. I'll go work in the bedroom. Don't bother. It's a nuisance having you holed up in there." Saying that, my husband smirked. "A lousy woman like you belongs in the toilet." That's a good idea. Go work in the toilet." My husband and son sneered as they watched me, on the brink of tears. "Dad, let's go buy some snacks for a change of scenery." "Yeah, you stay and work in the toilet." With that, they left for shopping. Left alone, I pondered what to do. I felt tears streaming down my cheeks. For a while, I was stunned. Maybe it's hopeless. What did I do wrong? I've been trying my best with housework, parenting, and work. Do I have no choice but to divorce? Then, it struck me. Why am I even married? The moment that thought crossed my mind, the fog in my head cleared, and my tears stopped. Right, there's no need to cry. If that's how they want to play it, I'll fight back. That was my resolve. So, I started cleaning the toilet. I always liked cleaning and kept it spotless, but now I cleaned it even more thoroughly. I removed the bars on the small ventilation window using tools and temporarily took out the window. I measured the gap between our house and the neighbors and confirmed I could exit through the small window. I brought in my phone, laptop charger, valuables like money and bank books, drinks, and snacks into the toilet, which was about 18 square feet, and locked it from the inside. I decided to live in the toilet. As I locked the door, I heard my husband and son returning. Where did she go? Finally left the house? I could hear my husband's voice. He had been planning to drive me out of the house. But knowing this, I felt calm. I'm here! I shouted loudly. Damn, where is she? I decided to work in the toilet, as you suggested. I won't come out until I'm done. Humph, being stubborn, huh? Let's just leave her alone, such a weirdo. From then on, I stayed in the toilet. They knocked fiercely a few times, but I simply replied, I'm in here. They had to go to a convenience store nearby, riding a bicycle. They seemed troubled, yelling and banging on the door, but I was surprisingly comfortable. I ate the pudding I brought, worked, and even napped with a large cushion as a pillow and wrapped in a blanket. My husband apparently blocked the toilet door with luggage to prevent me from coming out. Stay like this until morning. Reflect on your actions in that cramped space. My husband apparently went to bed as usual. I waited until late at night, then slipped out through the removed small window. Using the keys I had, I re-entered the house from the front door, took a shower, and made myself some pasta. I was hungry. I quietly entered my husband's bedroom, took his phone, and returned to the toilet. I knew his passcode, it was his birthday. I always suspected something but never bothered to check. He must be cheating. As expected, his phone was full of evidence of his affair. Messages saying I love you and I want to be with you forever were plentiful. I wondered when he even had time to work. Messages like when are you divorcing her and Iris is just a cash cow also appeared. The old me would have been devastated and cried, but now I was eerily calm. Looking at the photos, I found many of his dates with his mistress. I was almost impressed by how many they took as I checked each one. Shockingly, there were photos of my husband, his mistress, and my son together, my son smiling in a way he hadn't shown me lately. Realizing my son genuinely disliked me was a huge shock. Tears streamed down as memories of him from his infancy flooded back. I couldn't forgive them anymore. I decided to go all out. I transferred all the data from the phone to my laptop, then sneakily put the phone back. In the morning, my husband knocked on the toilet door. Have you reflected on your actions? I'm not done with work yet, I replied. He kicked the door and left for work. I heard my son leave for school too. I tried opening the door, but something was blocking it from the outside. So, I exited again through the small window and went around to the front door. Iris, where did you come from? My neighbor was shocked to see me emerge from the gap beside the house. I pretended to be troubled and said, my husband and son told me to live in the toilet. I had to pry open the window to escape. The neighbor listened to my story, and I asked her to come into the house to see how the toilet door was blocked. I have to go back to the toilet, or my husband will get angry, I said with a voice close to tears. Feigning a voice on the verge of tears, I told my neighbor about my situation. Concerned, she asked if there was anyone I could rely on. I thought of consulting my parents. I hadn't turned to them earlier because my marriage was arranged through a relative, making it hard to discuss my husband with them. My parents hurried over, and the kind neighbor explained my predicament. My mother embraced me, tears streaming down her face. The tension I had been holding back loosened, and I burst into tears like a child. After calming the neighbor, who suggested calling the police, I confided everything to my parents. I told them about my husband's behavior, my son's harsh words, and all that had happened. My parents were furious. Hearing about the affair, they were so angry I was worried they might collapse. However, they couldn't help but laugh a bit when I mentioned locking myself in the toilet. My father immediately called my in-laws and complained on the spot. It seems my in-laws are on their way here. It happened a little earlier than planned, but the evidence is solid. The time has come to seek revenge on my husband and son. Thinking about how I can finally be free, excitement surged within me. When my in-laws arrived and I explained the situation so far, they seemed to have no words, just uttering, "I knew it." What did they mean by "I knew it"? While talking to my in-laws, I discovered a shocking truth. As night fell, my husband went to pick up our son from the cram school as usual, and the two of them returned home together. Upon seeing both sets of parents gathered in the living room, my husband seemed surprised. "We are home. Everyone's here." My husband, acting as if nothing had happened, wore a cheerful smile. "Did you really lock my daughter in the bathroom?" My father spoke in a low voice. "Oh, come on, it was just a joke. Iris even locked it from the inside, and it was just a minor marital spat." "No, it's not a marital spat. They told us to work in the bathroom. Both you and our son. So, we took what was said in the heat of an argument literally and stood our ground." My husband seemed to want to pass it off as a marital argument, but that wouldn't be acceptable. Besides, both my parents and my in-laws were already on my side. "We have evidence. I've been recording everything since my husband started saying terrible things to me. Isn't making a fuss over a marital argument a bit too much? Do you really tell someone to go work in the bathroom during a marital spat? And besides, what did I do wrong? You got angry just because I worked on weekend." My husband, perhaps unable to speak firmly in front of his parents, began to sweat. "Why are you letting this woman talk so freely?" His son's words froze the atmosphere in the room. "I don't think it's right to speak to your mother like that." My mother spoke gently to him, but he wouldn't stop. "What's the deal? This woman isn't even my real mom, she's naggy, and we don't need her. The new mom coming next time is kind and will buy us anything with Dad." "The new mom coming next time? Idiot! I told you not to say that. Iris, it is not true. It's a misunderstanding." My husband's face turned pale. Surely he realized how dire the situation was. "It's fine. I know everything. I have evidence of your infidelity, and I'm getting a divorce." "No, it's not like that. Please listen to me." My husband slumped weakly. I brought my computer from the bathroom and projected the incriminating photos I had taken from his phone. "What the hell are you doing? Haven't you learned your lesson?" My father-in-law said that and punched his son. "I heard that you've caused a lot of trouble for your ex-wife and even told Iris that your ex-wife had passed away. She's alive and well. You've harassed her relentlessly, driving her to the brink of a breakdown. You're repeating the same mistakes." "Yes, I found out just now that your ex-wife wasn't in any traffic accident. She endured your harassment, which took a toll on her mental health, and she went back to her parents' house. She wanted to take custody of her son, but financially and physically, it wasn't possible for her, so she let you raise him alone. He told those lies just to gain my sympathy. Her parents didn't help with raising the child because they were angry at my husband. Then, when I married him, they were worried but still supportive. However, after this incident, they're heartbroken because he hasn't shown any remorse. We're getting a divorce, and I'll be seeking alimony." "Why, Iris, let's talk it out. I messed up. Please don't go for a divorce." "Why, Dad? You always talked about wanting to divorce this woman." "Enough. You don't understand a thing," my husband yelled at our son. Our son, who had never been scolded by his father, trembled and tears welled up in his eyes. Yet, no one tried to comfort him. "Why? You can live with your new mom, right?" Our son clung to his father desperately. "That's right. I'm leaving, so you can live with your new mom. Come on, get out already." My husband's face turned pale as he uttered these harsh words. It's no surprise. We still had about 30 years left on the mortgage for this house we built a few years ago. I've been the one paying the mortgage since my husband's income decreased. Considering his income and his careless spending habits, it's clear he couldn't manage the mortgage. Plus, there will be alimony to pay. My husband doesn't want to divorce so badly because his affair partner probably doesn't have much money. Anyway, I'm getting a divorce. Please make sure to pay alimony. I can't believe this. My husband, who's usually very timid in public, broke down in tears without saying a word. Furthermore, we got back the $10,000 we gave to our sister-in-law. My in-laws offered it when they found out my husband wasn't contributing to our finances. They were worried it was too much, considering my husband's income. My son seemed to be at the mercy of my husband, still unable to fully comprehend what was happening to him. My in-laws threatened, "We'll make sure to file for divorce," and took my husband and son away with them. After that, I returned to my parents' home, sought the help of a lawyer through their connections, and demanded alimony from my husband for his infidelity, as well as alimony from his mistress. The mistress, a young and cute temp worker at the same company as my husband, was just playing around with him. Word of this reached some relatives who had introduced my husband to me, and they were furious. They reported the situation to the company, leading to the mistress getting terminated, and my husband getting laid off under the pretext of downsizing. The mistress ran away, saying she didn't want to marry an older man like him. Perhaps fearing the loss of everything, my husband hesitated to stamp the divorce papers. And, to my surprise, he even demanded child support. But my in-laws eventually convinced him to finalize the divorce papers. I just submitted them, and he's officially my ex-husband now. My son will be taken care of by my in-laws. He's still in elementary school, and we need to figure things out for him. My in-laws are quite strict, so hopefully they'll handle it well. He'll move in with them after graduating from elementary school. But it seems that affording a private junior high school will be financially challenging. So, he'll attend the local junior high school in my in-laws' hometown. At this point, my son finally seems to understand the magnitude of what he's lost. He frequently emails me, saying, "Mom, I'm sorry. I want to take the junior high school entrance exams. Dad's always angry with me, and he didn't even buy me the new video game he promised." Many such messages came, but when I replied, "I am not your mother," he suddenly stopped. He's inherited his father's pride, it seems. He used to carry himself with an air of superiority, saying he'd take entrance exams and be different from everyone else at school. But now, unable to take the exams, he's been mocked by his friends, and his pride has been shattered. He tends to lock himself in his room. And, thanks to the incident where I was locked in the bathroom, which our neighbor broadcasted the rumor, my ex-husband and son are leading very uncomfortable lives. It looks like we'll have to sell the house after all. Despite once holding my ex-husband and son dear, I now have no lingering attachments. I'm currently renting a place near my parents' home, living alone. I no longer live in fear of being scolded, and I can work from my favorite places. I never thought being alone could be this liberating and enjoyable. I can't think about the next steps right now, and I was done with marriage. However, when I mentioned the divorce, one of my colleagues asked me out for a meal. I'll continue to enjoy my current independent life for a while. I hope happiness finds its way to me again someday. Just between us, every time I go to the bathroom and remember the satisfaction of scolding my ex-husband, it brings a smile to my face.